Well, good morning, folks. Today we're up at the market area here, and we're standing on the pad right now where we're going to be building our greenhouses this spring. Apologize about the wind noise. That's something this area is very well known for, as well as there's a lot of traffic. So apologize about that. Just one reason we don't get a lot of videos made up here, because there's just so much background noise all the time. But I went ahead and got started and got our fancy batter boxes up so that we can square this off. This greenhouse here is 12 foot wide by 60 foot long. There'll be like a 3-foot walkway in between them, and there'll be a identical one here. And then we're going to be putting an 8-foot driveway between there, and over here is a 24 by 48 greenhouse. So we've got 3 to put up. Shouldn't be that hard. I'm hoping to get some post in the ground today, because it's calling for rain, and it's the 23rd of March right now, so we're kind of getting up against the wire to when we want to have these planted. The plants are a little bit behind though, so we still got a little extra time. They're not hurting by any means, so if we go over that a little bit and get into maybe the second week of April, that'll be fine too. Just we won't have as produce as soon as we would like. So these are the posts that we're going to be putting in the ground. They are pretty heavy duty. They're C-channel. My buddy Brandon gave us to me. Actually made these, and you can see they've got these little brackets on the end, and that's where the end of the posts will fit into. But basically, we'll just stand these up and push them down with the tractor. It shouldn't be too hard. For the other greenhouse, however, we do not have those fancy posts, so we're going to have to buy some 4x4s and some treated 4x4s and dig the holes to put them in. I will say that those bows are extremely heavy duty. Years ago we had like a 30 by 125 greenhouse, and the bows I don't think were as heavy duty as these little 12-foot bows. So I think we're going to get away with being able to put them on 10-foot centers. Again, they're pretty narrow, and we're not, the span, the lengthwise is not that far either, so should be fine there. Again, they're just a little greenhouse. I don't think we'll have any problem with it blowing away or anything like that. All right, what I'm doing is just kind of squaring up the corners here, using the 3, 4, 5 method. And I am not a master carpenter or anything like that, so just take that with a grain of salt. This is just the way that we're doing it. Basically, you'll measure out 3 foot on one of your string lines, and then 4 foot on your other, and then you measure the diagonal, which should be 5 feet. If I didn't mention this before, there should be one of your string lines that you don't ever move. So again, this line here, which is running parallel with the store there, we won't move this line at all. So if we need to make adjustments, we will make adjustments on the other 3 string lines. That way this one line will always be true. And another thing to think about is, like, if you keep moving everything, all the time, you can get things out of whack pretty quick. So just take your time, don't get in a hurry, and anytime you take away or add something from somewhere, it takes away or adds something from one of your other corners. So just keep it. morning, folks. It's a couple days later. Had a little bit of few rain delays, and but as you can see, we've got the shell up, at least for the greenhouse. So basically we're going to be putting 2x8s down here on the bottom, and then we're going to be putting 2x6s here on the top. Now it might be a little bit overkill, but I'd rather, you know, we're going to do it once, so want it to be done right. And for our end walls here, we've got some 4x4s we're going to be putting here. We'll be putting like an 8-foot door in here so we can easily get in and out. Once we get that done, we have to put the quick lock on the top runners here to hold the plastic on. But after that, you know, it's pretty much, well, it'll be pretty quick. Put the plastic on and put the roll-up curtains on, and this will be done. So the goal here today is to get this particular house done, and then we will go ahead and mark out the next greenhouse and start putting it up. As you can see, we got quite a bit of lumber here on the little landscape trailer. We're gonna have to get all this unloaded as soon as Corey gets here, and also got our plastic and our roll-up pipes for our roll-up curtains, and a bunch of other stuff. What I've got accomplished so far is we have the baseboard on here, and I'll show you that. So this is just a 2x8. It runs the length of the greenhouse, and these posts are on 10-foot centers, or pretty close to it. So we use 10-foot lumber, and we just actually drilled holes in there and used carriage head bolts and bolted it into those metal posts. One thing we used that was kind of handy is a transit. This is not a real fancy transit by any means. It's one of those ones that you can get at Lowe's fairly cheap, or you can rent one, borrow one from a buddy. It's not necessary to have one of those, but it does really help, because there is a difference in being level and in being on elevation. So by using the transit there, you know, I went around and tried to find what elevation we were at. So I noticed that we were low on this east end here, because as we got further up to this end of the greenhouse on the west end, I actually had to dig down just a little bit to make sure that we were on the correct elevation. And I also, you know, used it on that other side, you know, to make sure that both sides were, you know, on the same elevation. So that's just a little trick maybe to help some of you guys out. There is different methods you could do. I know people that you could run a string line. I mean, we do have a line, you know, string around the house here, but that's more so that we could get it square. Some people, you know, you'll run a line and put, you can buy these little levels to hang onto the line and to make sure it's level. The transit's going to be a little bit more accurate. So today what we're going to be doing is we are going to be installing these 2x6s here on this upper portion. And once we get those installed, we'll put the C-clips or the C-channel on here to fasten the plastic to. The rest of the plastic will kind of hang down. We've got some roll-up curtains to install. One of the reasons to try to get this on grade as level as possible is because if you're using roll-up curtains, it's going to rest on top of this board. So the more level it is and more on elevation that it is, the less air that, you know, less gaps you're going to have where air can potentially come inside the house. So we're going to kind of use the same process with the transit to try to get these top boards on the correct elevation. Now, since these bottom boards are on the correct elevation, you could measure from here up. We'll probably do that too, just to check it, because I do know for a fact that all of these are not the same depth in the ground. All these posts, that is. We didn't have a transit the day that we were driving these in the ground, and you know, looking back, it would almost have been just as easy to drill the holes and set the post in the ground that way. They'd have been a lot more accurate, but we didn't have a digger that day, and I thought that they would go on the ground much easier than they did. I mean, as you kind of seen in the video, it wasn't an easy process to get these posts pushed in the ground. I did get over here and just wanted to show you guys this. This last post was a little bit unlevel. So I just hooked a ratchet strap and then went to the bottom of that next post and just kind of ratcheted it up until I got it level. So it should be good now. So we're going to go ahead and throw this last board on there, get it bolted on, and then we're going to start working on putting this end wall up. So we've moved on to the doors. We're going to have an 8-foot doorway here on this end and an 8-foot doorway on that other end. Yes, it's kind of big, but I want to be able to drive the tractor all the way through if I have to, especially if we're, you know, tilling this and working this and going to be growing crops inside of it. Nothing too exciting here. I just, you know, dug the hole and leveled up the post, and then of course I anchored it in to the end post there with some bolts and just used screws here in this 4x4. I had to plate this 4x4 with a 2x4 just because of the difference. That bow there is actually 1.5 inches wide, so right there we'll actually get a bolt all the way through that, as well as this side. Now I was actually going to show you guys a little bit more on how to set this up, but when I put this post in, it's right on the money, and I don't want to move it because it took quite a while to get that up and get it level and get the measurements right and everything. But you know, this is perfect. First try, first time this ever happened to me, so I'm not going to mess with it. There's actually exactly 8 foot in between everything, so I'm just going to go ahead and anchor this side in like we did this other side. So we're up here at the greenhouse, and got this other end wall done the other day. Still got to button it up though, and put our bolts in there at the top. But we're pretty much well ready to start putting our C-channel down along the top of these boards here that holds the plastic. If you've never seen those, I don't know how well, we'll get this opened up later, but it's just like a little C-channel that we're just going to use self-tappers and put on there. And then this wire goes down inside of the C-channel to hold the plastic on. So you'll put that on after you get the plastic pulled over. So right now we're going to go ahead and start finishing up this end wall so we can, and then we'll start putting the C-channel up. Alright, so it is the next day. Kind of got busy yesterday, didn't really pick up the camera a whole lot because we're trying to beat the rain. But as you can see, you got the end wall boxed in. I just kind of plated these boards on the outside. Probably going to try to get some clear paneling and put over this here. To cover that up. We also got our center purlin down the middle. Basically, they're just 12-foot pipes or 1.5 inches. They've got some couplers there that couple them together, and of course those came with the kit to kind of attach them to the bows. Now, before we put plastic on here, you will have to wrap all of that in duct tape or something, so you don't want to, any type of sharp edges or anything to puncture your plastic. So I want to keep that in mind. Now we also got our C-channel there down both sides, so we can fasten the plastic. Basically, we'll throw the plastic, over top of the bows. Pull it tight, and then we've got this wire here called wiggle wire. We call it wiggle wire. But basically, you'll wiggle it inside the channel there to fasten your plastic. So it's pretty easy to work with. We still have to put the C-channel on the fronts here. Still trying to figure out what I want to do here. I may just put the C-channel across the top of this board so we can just pull it directly on down here and fasten it that way. Been contemplating boxing some of this other area in here. Haven't really decided on that yet. We'll see how that goes today. But today we are just going to focus on building the doors here. Originally I was going to put one big 8-foot door here, but I believe we're going to do two 4-foot doors. Treated lumber is a lot heavier than your normal lumber, so I think it would just be easier, less weight on the door so they don't, start sagging and that kind of thing. If we just do a 4-foot door, it'll be easier to handle. Of course, it's going to be more material and all that, but I think in the long run, this is probably the best way to go. Again, apologize about the background noise, the wind noise. It is supposed to storm today at some point. Hey, good morning, folks. Not sure what day we are on the greenhouse build, but we were up here yesterday, and we pretty much well finished up greenhouse number 1. Everything except the plastic and the roll-up curtains. So I can't remember how much I got recorded of the doors. Yesterday was really windy and nasty, so didn't get any footage of yesterday. But today is really nice, so we're going to try to get some today. But basically our doors here, we just ended up putting some I think this is polycarbonate sheeting. It's basically the same thing that you'd put in the roof of one of your cold storage shops, just to let light pass through. We use this in lieu of actually using the plexiglass like we kind of talked about, mainly because the plexiglass was extremely expensive. We kind of added a little more boards here. Instead of actually going on the post, we elected to put our C-channel here on the face of the structure. That way when we pull this plastic down over, we won't have to worry about trying to cover that with something. It'll just be going down to here. The plastic will be going down to here. But we wrapped all the fittings with tape. So yeah, I mean, it's ready for plastic. We just need a day not to be windy, if that's ever possible around here.